I'm ready to make plays when my number's called.
I know I'm ready for the moment.
Shedeur, play fake, looking end zone. And Shedeur Sanders has his first NFL touchdown.
The first-round draft pick, number 25 overall. Shotgun goes to the left side. Touchdown, Giants!
Shuck to throw again.
Shedeur gunning, wants to take a shot.
Throwing deep, he's got him wide open.
Catch, that's a touchdown.
This is fun.
But it's definitely still time to go to work.
Welcome. I know it's just the preseason, but it's been a whole lot of fun to see these rookie quarterbacks make their debuts. We're glad you're with us today. Dan Orlovsky, Damian Woody, Adam Schefter, Marcus Spears is here as well. We got the fantasy football marathon going on, so we got a lot to celebrate right now, but let's talk about some real football. New on NFL Live is where we begin. Matthew Stafford was supposed to return to the practice field today after going through a workout over the weekend where he threw 68 passes, but he was not out there today. Here's head coach Sean McVay on that decision.
First question you guys will have is about Matthew, and like we've said, we're going to be flexible and fluid. I think more than anything, I feel for Matthew because of how much he wants to be out there and feel good. Ultimately, what ended up happening, had a great workout, felt good, but then come in today and it doesn't feel great, and so didn't think that was the right decision to be able to push him. We've kind of always talked about flexibility, being fluid with some of the plans. And I think more than anything, I feel for a guy that, I really care about that wants to be out there more than anything else. We're going to be smart, but he didn't feel good enough, and we didn't think it was the right thing to do based on, how he woke up feeling today.
A lot of context there from McVay, which is great. But, Adam, what more can you tell us about Stafford still not being at practice?
The Rams were hoping that he was going to be able to return to practice today in a limited fashion. He still hasn't practiced all summer long, so there are some people who are concerned, like Damian Woody. There are some people who have questions about how well he's going to fare. I think this is really a maintenance issue. It's August 11th. It's not September yet. And the Rams are trying to be very patient, deliberate, and slow in how they bring back Matthew Stafford. I think inherently, when you have a 37-year-old quarterback who has a shaky back, you're uneasy. But I could tell you that the Rams are not feeling that way. They feel like if there were a game today, he could play.
Anybody else, like when Adam accidentally has his phone not on silent, you're like, oh, what was that?
How long does he keep his eyes on the screen?
There may be news going on. We'll let you know as soon as we do. All right, Dan, we know that Stafford was supposed to be out there today. How concerning is this for you less than a month away from the first game?
I'm still not concerned. 28 days till game one. This is a team that we think is one of the 2 or 3 best teams in the NFC. That means they're going to be playing 20 football games, if not more, this season. So the worst thing that you can do is 28 days before the first game of the year, get a player out there that has got the wear and tear on his body like Matthew Stafford and get him out there just to get him out there, just because you said you were hoping for him to practice on Monday. So I believe the Rams organizationally have warranted and earned the right to allow us to give them the benefit of the doubt. Everything that they seem to do works. And so I'm trusting them, their medical staff, the decision makers, to believe that how they're going about it is handling it the right way. It's 28 days to week one. He doesn't need a ton of snaps to get ready. And it's the long haul. It's a very, very long season.
Woosah, D. Wood.
Or I'm trying. Shefty, I'm trying. I'm trying to keep my composure here. No, listen, I will say this. The Rams are one of the very best organizations at being transparent and also in these type of situations, obviously with Matthew Stafford. He has a long history of these type of injuries, and he's like the ultimate warrior playing through these things. Not a snap in training camp? Like, nothing. He had one workout and no practice. Listen, I get it. It's the Rams and all of that. But I also know how back injuries are. Back injuries are very debilitating. We're talking about a 37-year-old quarterback that has a long injury history. And so, yes, my level is here, but I'm going to wait and see. I'm going to trust the Rams organization through this whole thing.
Swag, he's worried.
I'm not waiting to see. I'm scared as hell. And listen, this is not because I don't think that they can manage Matthew Stafford and his injury. The injury is a back. And who's to say that over the longevity of a season, this team has been playing in the playoffs as well. I agree. Keep him on the sideline, try to get him as healthy as possible. But I'm not focused on the preseason. I wouldn't care if Matthew Stafford was healthy and not getting a snap right now because he's been a quarterback in this league for a long time. He played with the cast that's there already. My concern is a team that should be in the conversation when we get to the playoffs. 37-year-old quarterback back has been acting up where he hasn't. It's been debilitating, obviously, that since he's not been able to do anything. So I'm not worried about today, August 11th. I'm worried about when you play the first game of the week, how long does it take for you to get ready for the next game when we start talking about going throughout the duration of the season? That's my only concern. I know you can manage it. I know they got needles with a lot of good medicine in it that can get you ready and get you through a season. But ultimately, when you start talking about Matthew Stafford and his back and the way that he expects himself to play and how much he means to this team going forward, I'm concerned. I'm highly concerned.
And it's not just Matthew Stafford here. Their left tackle, Alric Jackson, has been dealing with blood clots. So whenever Matthew Stafford does come back, he's going to have to be protected. Their backup left tackle right now is the veteran DJ Humphries. It's not Damian Woody. And so they're going to need strong play out of the left tackle position. But as we're all talking and as I'm listening to Marcus get all nervous and Damian Woody get all flustered, I'm thinking to myself, can you imagine if the New York Giants or Las Vegas Raiders or Steelers had gone through and traded for Matthew Stafford, and they had their new quarterback in town, and he's sitting there, and he still hasn't practiced.
Good point.
You think the New York tabloids would have some fun with that in New York right now? Oh, my goodness.
They'd be wondering about this little device that he's using, which our Rams reporter Sarah Barshop had this detail. We're going to show you this shortly after practice began. Matthew Stafford walked into this immortal chamber, immortal with an A, which helps with restoration and rejuvenation. I think I need that. Anybody else?
Can I get one at the house?
What is that?
Yeah, I need to put that in the crib.
Can I get one at the house?
All right, we'll leave that there. Any updates, of course, we'll bring you. But how about this? More news today. A developing story in Philadelphia. Adam, what more can you tell us?
Landon Dickerson was helped off the field last night, a Sunday night practice in Philadelphia, a three-time Pro Bowl guard. Carted off, went for an MRI, and my understanding is it's a meniscus injury. It's not an ACL. Now, some people hear meniscus and they say, okay, well, that's good. It's not an ACL. Well, maybe, maybe not. He was going for second opinions, as far as I understood. And with meniscus, you could shave it, and it's not too extreme, or you could have the whole thing repaired, which would end his season. And so I think he's going through this right now. I'm expecting clarity here fairly soon, maybe within the hour, and certainly we'll bring that to you when we get that information. But he has a meniscus injury. They're deciding how to treat it, and we should have clarity here fairly soon.
I will say this. First of all, Landon Dickerson is a tough SOB. Yeah. That's number one. He's dealt with some injuries. He's played through a lot of big-time injuries. So if there's one guy that can play through something like this, it would be him. My only concern here, you start chipping away at this offensive line, okay? I heard you talk about it this morning. Mekhi Becton, he's gone, okay, to the Los Angeles Chargers. Now you have this injury, with Landon Dickerson, who's one of the best guards in the game. And so now that wall that you have up front with the Philadelphia Eagles, man, you start taking away players, that little bit could be the difference in a conference that's as good as the NFC.
I think it's a Super Bowl repeat type of injury impact. This is the injury that I'm way more concerned about than the Matthew Stafford one. And hopefully it's a short-term thing for Landon Dickerson, but it's hard for me to overlook 40% of an offensive line being gone if he's going to be out extended period of time and the offensive coordinator and just think it's going to get replaced. And we talked about last year's Saquon's season was sensational. If you look at Saquon and his production directly correlated to running just directly behind Landon Dickerson, 7.1 per carry, 688 yards, and 467 of those yards were before getting touched.
Goodness.
So that's a quarter of his offensive rushing was behind Dickerson. So this is an injury for me that has massive impact. And also Jalen Hurts. Jalen was a quarterback last year that, didn't throw the ball over the middle of the field a ton and struggled a little bit with the pocket presence, that just hanging in the pocket. That'll have impact as well. It's not just going to be felt by Saquon. So this is, for me, a very big deal in Philadelphia.
Yeah, I'm concerned. I think it's a big deal, Dio, but I think what gives Philly a little bit of a reprieve. One, Howie has done a good job building depth on this football team. They've weathered storms with injuries before, but ultimately, you have a very athletic backfield. You got to get creative. If this becomes an issue for you as a football team, you're going to have to figure out how to protect the left guard by using all of the stuff that we watched Philly do a few years ago with giving the eye, making you have eye discipline as opposed to just coming off and bulldozing. Look, make no mistake about it. Landon Dickerson is a road grader. That's what he is. He's a big, physical left guard that gives you so much movement at the point of attack on the line of scrimmage. When you miss that, you got to go a little bit north and south. Now, does that mean that this team will have as much success rushing the football? I don't believe so, but I think they can make up for a little bit of this, especially in the run game, with some of that creativity in the backfield. Ultimately, the issue becomes attrition for a team that's trying to repeat as Super Bowl contenders. The Philadelphia Eagles have done very well with their offense as far as keeping people healthy and having them for the most important times of the season. That becomes your issue when you have everything in place. Now, how have you built this depth out to be ready for these type of injuries that happen?
You know, Swagger, you threw out Howie Roseman. I'm going to throw out another name, Jeff Stoutland. One of, if not the best, offensive line coaches that we have in the National Football League. So as much as we talk about Landon Dickerson and, you know, how great of a player he is, the one thing with Jeff Stoutland, he is a master at developing players. And so whoever they plug in, I have the ultimate confidence.
If there's a place that can handle it,
it's the offensive line because of who's coaching that position.
I hear you. It's hard to replace somebody like Dickerson. Maybe we're not really talking about that, but he has 1,000 pass block and run block wins over the last 3 seasons. Penei Sewell, the only other lineman on that list. We'll bring you news on Dickerson as soon as Adam has it. As he told you, it could be within this hour. We're just getting started on NFL Live. Well, kind of, but Bengals, Eagles in the preseason. To see a little of the stars. Joe Burrow playing in the first quarter for the Bengals. He would go to a familiar target on this opening drive. 3rd and 5 from the Bengals 34. Burrow finding Jamar Chase for 12 yards in the first down.
It looks like it's on air. It's not. It's against the defense, as does this one. This back shoulder. I love the fact that Joe's underneath center a little bit. That back shoulder fade thrown perfectly to that right shoulder. Jamar, the vision, the toe tap. This was an offensive passing game that was flawless.
That Burrow passing to Tanner Hudson. He battles into the end zone for the touchdown. And Burrow, by the way, 6 of 7, 71 yards in the opening drive. The Bengals lead 7-0. It's tied up. Bengals looking to answer, though. And Burrow to Chase once again. He races all the way down for the touchdown. Burrow and Chase, a solid start to the preseason. Looks like they haven't missed a beat. So how about that, Marcus? You think Burrow and the starters playing in the preseason helps them avoid that slow start they've had?
I don't know, Boogie. I'm just hoping that they don't play anymore once this game is over that they have next. Listen, Dan just talked about the amazing it's not on air. They looked like this last year. This is exactly how the offense looked last year. And I get it about the slow starts. We've seen one preseason game. That's enough. Get through training camp healthy. That's been a big issue as far as the slow starts go. Get through training camp healthy, and they'll do that week 1 against whoever they play. I have no doubt about it. Joe Burrow threw for 7 million yards, and Jamar Chase caught for 7 million. They probably gonna catch for 7.5 million this year.
Yeah, I hear you. This is where the nervous Nellies today on the show coming.
That's a lot of snaps.
Let's go to Minnesota. 7 million. Where J.J. McCarthy back on the field for their first preseason game. McCarthy making his preseason debut. Of course, he missed last season with the torn meniscus. First quarter Vikings, 2nd and 9 on their own 13. McCarthy finds Jordan Addison for a 5-yard gain. Important because he won't have him when the season starts.
Yeah, and he's also on the move coming off of the knee injury. And so you love that. This is the strength of his game. Hang in the pocket, defensive lineman down there, his legs, drive that deep out off of the play action. Ball laid out there for Addison. So you love to see the arm strength. Also the athleticism. 4th and 4. Kevin O'Connell goes for it, takes it, and gets it. To see him healthy and fresh with his legs was a good sign.
Vikings win 20-10. Adam, let's talk, though, about the wide receivers because they've got 3 notable inactive wideouts here. That can affect potentially the way the J.J. McCarthy season begins.
Well, listen, there are some major question marks to their passing game. Justin Jefferson doesn't sound like a serious hamstring injury, but obviously he's going to miss a good part, if not all, of the preseason. Jordan Addison suspended the first 3 games, and Rondale Moore suffered what looks to be a season-ending knee injury on Saturday. Heartbreaking last year, dislocated knee. second time again this year, a major knee injury. They're not going to have him. That's a lot to lose on the offensive side of the football that they'll have to overcome.
Yeah, it's worth keeping an eye on. Obviously, Justin Jefferson sort of rights a lot of wrongs, but still. All right, let's go to New York, where Justin Fields threw only one incompletion in his preseason debut. The majority of his yards occurred when he had more than 2.5 seconds to throw, an area of improvement for him last season. He also had 13 rushing touchdowns, which would be the second longest, a 13-yard rushing touchdown. I'm like, golly, he had 13 rushing touchdowns in the game. I missed that. Either way, D. Wood, what do you think of the Jets' debut for Fields?
I thought it was good. I thought it was really good. He was decisive. He knew where to go with the ball. Obviously, we saw him use his legs and scramble for that 13-yard touchdown. But I think the biggest takeaway from this game, man, watch out for the Jets' offensive line, bro. They're going to play bully ball. You look at how this team is built. The offensive line is the strength of the team. You got a running quarterback in Justin Fields, the three-headed monster in the backfield. The Jets should have the most rushing attempts in the league with the components that they have on offense. They're going to play bully ball this year.
Yeah, y'all are telling me, watch out for both the teams in New York. So let's go to the other team. The Giants used all 4 of their quarterbacks at the Bills Sunday, including rookie Jackson Dart. In his 4 series under center, Dart threw for 150 yards and a touchdown, the most of the group. Got rid of the ball quickly, too. An average time to pass of 2.46 seconds per NFL Next Gen stats. Dan, although there was some good, you thought there was even more Dart could have shown on that game. You loved him coming out of the draft.
Yeah, I want to see him slow his feet down to marry the concept. Corner route at the bottom of the screen versus man coverage. You have to give the receiver the time to win on his route. Once you see the back through release and the linebacker go with him, just marry your feet. Right now, he's taking off, getting from the second part of his progression or to the second part. Receiver's 4 yards downfield. He ends up winning on the route. And see how he's throwing the ball before the receiver is ready for it? It looks like, wow, inaccurate miss. No, lack of timing. And the second thing is, if you're not going to throw a ball, why? You have a post up top, cross at the bottom. He wants to throw the crosser, but that defender is kind of trying to bait him. I love the fact that he doesn't throw the crosser, but if you're not throwing the crosser and that defender's too deep, the ball should go to the back. And that check down on 1st and 10 becomes a 7-8 yard gain instead of a 1-yard scramble. So these aren't problems. This isn't a alarm. These are just the things that you walk away going, man, so encouraged. But these are some of the stuff that if you're Jackson Dart and the Giant, you really want to see growth this week and for the rest of the preseason.
Yeah, it's why you said don't start him right away.
I would be patient with him.
There are some Giants fans who are like, look at our guy.
No.
First
Be
round
patient.
draft pick?
Be
All right,
patient.
fine. We'll be patient. Still to come. We got a lot more to get to. Caleb Williams struggled his rookie season, right? But with a new offensive coordinator and, of course, a new head coach, how much is on his plate heading into year 2? Our Bears reporter Courtney Cronin joining the show next. She'll talk about all of it, the inside scoop here on NFL Live. We'll be right back.
Boar's Head has.
I don't know what to tell you. It was egregious. It was terrible.
Caleb Williams goes down. I don't know what happened. Didn't look right. Something happened down the stretch here. It did not make sense.
This offense is broken. I don't think there's a player in the NFL under more pressure than Caleb Williams.
Frustrating, annoyed, just another haunting conclusion.
You have to have the right coaching staff.
Caleb, I'm excited to work with you, but it's going to take more than just you. And there are a lot of pieces already in place.
Well, Ben Johnson hoping his offensive success in Detroit can translate over as the head coach of the Bears. You see some of that right there. Over the previous 3 seasons with Johnson as the offensive coordinator, Detroit had a top 3 offense in the NFL in scoring and yardage. Really impressive. The Bears, of course, ranked last in yards per game and yards per play. So a lot of improvement needed as we now welcome in Courtney Cronin, who covers all things Bears and all things NFL as well. So glad to have you with us in person. You have an article up on ESPN.com. It takes a deep dive into Caleb Williams and Ben Johnson, their relationship. It's really interesting. Go check it out. But what have you noticed about their dynamic so far in camp?
It's really hands-on. And I think yesterday when starters weren't playing in the preseason game against Miami demonstrates that in a way that I haven't seen in covering an NFL team, where Ben Johnson takes Caleb Williams, 3 receivers, a tight end, and a running back and puts them through 70-plus plays, the routes on air, but an hour-long practice before the preseason game, before he has to go call the preseason game, which is not normal because usually that's either like your quarterback's coach, your offensive coordinator, QC guys putting you through that workout, and it was really detailed. He had to account for motions. He had to account for shifts. So Ben Johnson would give him the play. Caleb would have this sort of like makeshift huddle, call the play, have to account for first down, second down, third down. They were doing red zone work, accuracy work on the deep ball too. And that was to get him more comfortable with things that they've been repping in practice, because the emphasis here, give Caleb as much as you can throughout the preseason so he can become a master of all this. And like, there's tangible things we've seen from Ben Johnson, whether he's telling Caleb, hey, if your headset goes out, have 2 to 3 plays in your back pocket so you're not in it. You don't want to burn a timeout in that moment. You don't want to panic in that moment. That's stuff that I don't necessarily know he got enough of as a young quarterback during his rookie season, that Ben Johnson, a part of this overload process right now, is trying to teach him.
How much of Ben Johnson's offense are they giving Caleb to be responsible for?
Everything, which I know sounds like hyperbolic, but they are trying to overload him right now so they can know where they need to pare back. And this is a complex offense. I mean, you've got Case Keenum, who's 37 years old, saying it's one of the most complex he's ever played in. So for a 23-year-old quarterback who now has to be responsible for really long play calls, and having to get in the huddle, get out of the huddle, and be like, say it with your chest, say it confidently, not stutter when you're in there, and maintain all of this information, in addition to identifying things pre-snap that he might not have been that good at doing last year. And I think a good example of that is what we saw, like his process. Is it speeding up? Ryan Poles and I sat down last week. He said he's seeing instances of where he's getting it, but there's also those moments where he's thinking and not just playing and reacting. That happened against Miami in the joint practice. New defense, Anthony Weaver's throwing the kitchen sink at him. So there's moments where Caleb's not identifying things that are happening pre-snap with blitzes, different, we're knowing where his pressure's coming from, and those would lead to sacks in practice. We're still seeing some of that, but again, I think because it's early, the Bears aren't panicking about it. They know that this is part of his process of learning a very complex playbook, and Ben Johnson along the way taking stock of what's not working, so he'll be able to then identify that, adjust things to the quarterback, and maybe even switch up some of how he's teaching it.
It's excellent information out of Courtney. Again, the article on ESPN.com with even more, but it does show you, too, why we all probably need to pump the brakes on what we may see out of Caleb this coming season. Exactly. It would be hard for anyone. Breaking news right now from Adam Schefter. You're going to see his tweet here in just a second. But, Adam, what do we know about Landon Dickerson?
Might have news within this hour, and the news is now in. Landon Dickerson is going to undergo a minor procedure here in the coming days to essentially clean up that meniscus in his right knee. The goal is to be ready for the Thursday night, September 4th regular season opener against the Dallas Cowboys. Now, when you have a meniscus injury, they could go in and repair it, and it would be a season-long injury for him, or you could opt to have it shaved down, get it cleaned up, and it's a much less invasive surgery with less time away from the football field. And in this particular case, he's opting to have that shaved down, repaired, and so now he should be able to come back here in short order. It could have been a lot worse. Whether or not he's back for the opener, I know Damian Woody's had this injury. He could speak to it. But from the sounds of it, I think he's got a realistic chance to play against the Cowboys on opening night.
Great news all the way around for Philadelphia. Great news. Again, like you mentioned, I had this injury. Literally had it shaved down. I was back. I missed one game. That was it.
What a dog.
Yeah.
Dang,
I mean, not to toot my own horn, but no, this is great for Landon Dickerson. Obviously, we've talked about one of the best guards that we have in that game, and to be able to, possibly go into the opening game, intact would be great for Philadelphia.
Huge. Dan, Leafs? Yeah? Okay.
Great news for the Eagles.
I love it. Thank goodness. We love when people aren't seriously hurt. Let's talk a little bit more about the Browns. This is pretty interesting. Shedeur shows out. Okay, you see it right there. Let's see it ourselves. So starting for the Browns as they take on the Panthers. Shedeur getting his shot. First quarter, Browns 3rd and 9. Sanders showing the elusiveness there, running for the first down. You see what he can do with his legs. Probably not a lot of conversation around that in the lead up to the draft, but you saw it right there, driving the Browns down the field. 4th and 1. Sanders scrambling again, evading pressure and throwing it away here before being brought down. The Browns turning it over on down. So we go to the first play of the second quarter. 2nd and goal for the Browns. Off play action, Dan Sanders finds Caden Davis for the touchdown.
Yeah, this is an aggressive throw. I mean, you're talking about on the move aggression and perfectly placed. And then Laura, you talked a little bit about the legs. I like that he gets out, hangs. That ball is essentially perfect. A sick one-handed catch. But just, like showing off the ability to make some big-time throws. And then this is the throw that I'm super excited to break down in detail of how that did.
You'll hear from Dan in a minute, but first, let's go to Shedeur after the game.
I'm going to be honest, I wasn't nervous, so I didn't really have too much adrenaline. It was just getting comfortable. That's all it is. Like it's plenty games before. Like I was nervous, but I felt like I knew it. I knew the answers to the test. So it's like when you feel unprepared, then when you don't feel like you're ready for the moment. I know I'm ready for the moment. Did I play up to par? No, I don't feel like I did. But overall, the main goal was to win, and that's honestly what we did.
Dan, what stood out to you when you look closer at Shedeur's tape?
Yeah, one play, that second touchdown pass, and the three things that stand out are the ability to react, the ability to remain, and then the ability to rip the football. I want everyone to see it at full speed once again because there's a lot of elements attached to this that look like starting quarterback material, understanding it's the preseason, by Shedeur Sanders. Okay, so let's talk about the reaction. Shedeur is going to send the motion, and once the motion goes, coverage in the defense is going to change. And Shedeur actually wants to start with the football throwing to his left. You can see he's peeking this way because he wants to throw this outbreaking route to the tight end. Now, while he's peeking that way, he's going to see this unblocked, what feels like linebacker coming his way. So you have to react from that linebacker because you don't know if this back is actually going to get there for protection. Back does, okay? Good job by Marshall. But react away. Now, when you react away, he gets into this moment where do you remain a passer or not? There's a running lane, but that's not really his strength, right? So you can see Shedeur remaining a passer with his vision down the field. So react away, remain a passer. And I want everyone to remember, when he initially left, he was on that hash. Remember that landmark when he first starts to move. So you're remaining the passer, and then when you see the field, if you're Shedeur Sanders, and you see that first post goes that way, and that safety collapses, what it does is it leaves a vacancy there for you to throw that outside post if you want. So react, remain, and then rip the football to that open receiver. And this is what I love, the ball placement. Down in the red zone, we talk about two places to throw the ball. Face mask or higher, belt buckle or lower to protect the receiver and the throw. That's phenomenal by Shedeur Sanders. Now, I want to go back one quick moment. Remember I told everybody when he first starts to move, this is what I call operational space. He's on that hash. Block comes, he gets off that hash about 2-3 yards, and now look at the throwing posture that he's in. Even off that little shuffle, throwing posture, and then that beautiful touchdown pass. There's a lot right there that looks like a starting quarterback in the NFL. The Browns now have to sit around and go, do we have to give him more reps with the starting units against starting defenses?
Ooh, wow. I love it, Dan. Adam, there were some injuries in the Browns quarterback room that factored into the amount of Sanders playing time. What's the status of those injuries?
Both Kenny Pickett and Dylan Gabriel were back on the practice field this week. Both had hamstring tightness, some issues there. I think they know what time it is. They know it's time to go out and show that they can play this preseason, especially with Shedeur Sanders coming out and lighting it up the way that he did in this preseason opener. Both players on the practice field today. We'll see if they can get going here in the Browns' second preseason game.
Yeah, that was the thing we wondered this whole time. Is like, how are they going to get the reps around to all these quarterbacks, give them enough opportunity?
Oh, let me break you out.
Hey.
Dylan Gabriel and Kenny Pickett feeling that pressure.
Oh, no, we got to get back out there.
That pressure.
All right, so they're feeling the pressure, but do you think Shedeur did enough to prove that he should be in consideration for the starting job, Swag?
Yeah, he did. And listen, because you know Joe Flacco is not your long-term answer to be your starting quarterback if you're going to usher in a new quarterback and get this team potentially in a position where they can go and play forward and make moves in order to try to win a lot of games, especially in that division. Here's the thing for me, though. Like, the response of the kid is the best thing that happened in this game, right? We've been talking all offseason about he's not getting enough reps in practice, all of these things, set up to fail, all of that. I said Friday when I was on First Take, I said this is the perfect opportunity because Dan and Woody knows this. Injuries create space for you to perform. Yeah. It's an age-old tale in the NFL, and this is one of those other situations when you see in the preseason a guy goes down and the team finds out, oh, we got a player here. Now, it's a polarized position, and obviously we know about Shedeur Sanders. I played with a guy named Miles Austin in Dallas. Yeah. We would not have known how good he was at wide receiver had it not been for an injury. This happens so much in the offseason. He went and took full advantage of his opportunity. And what he's done more than anything, he's earned more reps in practice and earned more critical reps in practice now in order to compete to be the starting quarterback for the Cleveland Browns? Because everybody else on this roster ain't proven. So I don't know why in the hell you would leave him at 4th string after a performance like that.
Don't get Wally Pipp, baby.
I know.
Don't get Wally Pipp.
Every coach will tell you about Wally Pipp.
Hey, Swagger, don't let it happen to you. All of a sudden, hamstrings, everything done got right quick back there. Right, exactly. No, but listen, I said
I'm healthy now.
Yeah, oh yeah, they're healthy. They ready to practice. But listen, man, it's one of these things where, you know, you had to take advantage of the opportunity. And the fact that he played so well, now you planted that seed. You planted that seed in Kevin Stefanski. He's like, whoa, okay, you played the majority of the snaps. You look damn good out there. You're forcing people's hands in that building. Like, okay, we got to start giving this young man some more reps.
You know what I'll say, too? Ironically, and I've felt this way and I've said it, I actually believe Shedeur Sanders is more equipped with his skill set and his traits better for this offense and Kevin Stefanski with Cleveland than Dylan Gabriel who took before him, and Kenny Pickett. I just think the style of football marries with the scheme best.
Dan, you ever Wally Pipped anybody?
Yeah, 10-year-old Little League. Let's go.
Hey, all right
In
now.
middle school. In middle school.
Coming up,
He's tall. Let's give him a shot.
made his
He trashed though.
anticipated preseason debut. Have the Titans found their franchise quarterback? Dan going back to the touchscreen, talking about what he saw from the rookie next. I don't think I've ever Wally Pipped anybody either. So,
You know, when you didn't host NFL Live, Field Yates came on.
Oh, Field Wally
proved
Pipp.
himself. Field proved himself. That young Field.
about him.
Everywhere